All right, what's going on, fellas? I had Kirsten drag the camera along. Hopefully, we'll be doing this each Saturday. It's not the best session to be filming. It's my secondary overhead day where we do some like behind the neck work, triceps and upper back. But we're trying to get back on top of putting out videos regularly for you guys. So, welcome. So, as you heard there, we had Kirst drag the camera along to the gym, got some cool looking footage, and then we quickly realized we didn't have a plan for what to do with it. So here I am. Your boy is absolutely fried. This prep for my upcoming deadlift contest definitely has me pretty zapped. Partially my fault because I'm insistent on continuing to progress other training variables alongside the deadlift training because I'm like, this is only a stepping stone. I don't want to take any time away from building my holistic base. But it definitely makes the training unreasonably fatiguing. I am zapped 24/7, but I'm making sure to kind of stay on top of being productive with the channel. And more importantly, the longer I've done this, the more I've realized the importance of, yes, you can push your training really hard. Yes, you should kind of dedicate a lot of focus to it, but you can't let your other obligations slip too far. They can slip a little bit, but the better you get at this, the less you let them slip. And in my case in particular, I've got some very, very cool guys that I coach. I like them quite a bit, and I cannot let my coaching quality drive too low. They're very cool and understanding that they think it's a benefit that I walk the walk alongside them. But that being said, even if people would give me a pass, I really don't want to use that pass and let it get bad. I've made that mistake in the past of really kind of pouring myself as hard as I could into training for a goal. And I end up looking back and kind of kicking myself. It's not that hard to do both. Just hold yourself to a higher standard when you're tired. Just do shit anyway. Because like I said, I like the guys I work with quite a bit, and that is a privilege to work with them because they're not just paying me. That's one thing, but they're people I enjoy working with. More importantly, anyone who's dabbled in like personal training for a summer as a job or as a profession knows it sucks to work with people you don't like, and it's kind of necessary. And I am very lucky to be at the point of demand where I'm able to work with people I get along with just entirely. And that's something that I definitely never, ever, ever want to take for granted. And I want to keep plugging away on the YouTube, figuring out little things we can do better to keep the channel growing, because I eventually would like to have a way to provide a better quality of life for Kirsten. Her job sucks. She comes home tired every day. And if I can find a way to get more money, that might be good. I say that step one would be actually remembering to charge my clients half the time, but that's very much on me. But the YouTube I kind of view, aside from the fact that clearly I like doing it. I think I'm like 700 videos deep. I just like having an outlet to talk about lifting. I think it's interesting. Aside from that, it could also be something that's working towards something in the future that could help Kirsten out, which I think is a massive secondary benefit in my head. Also, speaking of the YouTube, I've got a fun idea coming up. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think you guys will like it a good bit. It falls into kind of the category of more long-form content that I know a lot of you guys like the channel for. But yeah, all that rambling aside, I'm absolutely zonked. Even today is the final week where heavy RDLs will be included on my kind of primary squat secondary deadlift day. Those will switch to speed pulls. Not because I'm convinced developing rep speed is the greatest avenue through which we drive maximal strength, but more because the format of speed sessions is just kind of my preferred down session to preserve or move forward technique while not accruing too much more fatigue. I just like those EMOM protocols. I think they scale pretty well to that. And while it might not be the best way to build maximal strength or even all that useful of a way to build maximal strength, getting faster with submaximal weights, being more explosive is a trait that's helpful in strongman. So even if this idea that speed work maybe doesn't have as much of a place within powerlifting, assuming we're not using it as more of a light session to decay fatigue and keep our technique in touch, it definitely can be justified within strongman because being explosive is a trait that's helpful, and we can develop that through plyos, we can develop that through power variations of weightlifting movements, or we can use our kind of big compounds we're doing anyway as a developmental tool for that power. I am really, really excited because a friend of mine is
getting a new bar velocity tracker and is going to sell me his old one. I'm over the moon just because I think this stuff is interesting and it's a new thing to try. That which gets measured gets improved. My yoke only started getting good when I started timing every single working run I did. So that way I got the feedback, not just what feels good, because sometimes what feels good isn't actually better. Kind of the same thing that used to happen with my deadlift. Just because it feels better doesn't mean it actually scales to heavy weights better. Much the same, just because it makes the yoke feel better doesn't mean it actually made you any faster or more stable. So as soon as I started measuring, it improved. And if we assume that this kind of power output, this explosiveness is something that matters within strongman, which I would say it is, as soon as I have an ability to measure it, it will improve more than just saying, move your weights fast. I don't really have a tremendous amount of thoughts on it past that. I don't know how much I'll actually use it to auto-regulate training, but I just think more data is interesting, and maybe I will observe some interesting relationships. The big thing, I think, is making sure that you're not tailoring your technique to get the fastest 60% possible. It's how fast can you move 60% with the technique that scales better to a max. I think that would be a common pitfall that I could see myself making if I was a little bit newer. So that is something I will go out of my way to avoid. All right, that's all I got for you for the day. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. I'll just loop this curl clip.